What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I did actually want to talk about the entire offline mode thing coming to the Crew 2 and probably some things it might actually need when that time does end up coming. Now I do know right now I'm probably going to guess and say it's easily going to be a few years down the road. The reason why I do say that is the Crew 2 and Motorfest are going to be so dang connected, and I do feel like a lot of players after the Crew 2 was on sale, that they are most likely going to be playing this game a lot, buying cars in it, and then most likely trying to transfer many of those vehicles into Motorfest. And this is probably going to go on for a very long time, so I was thinking about it. The entire offline mode is probably not going to be added for a few years down the road at least. I was even thinking maybe 2028 or something like that. We also don't know if the next crew game is going to be in development, but if I had to guess, it most likely is going to be, so that can also add on to something else that could be an issue in the future, but only time is going to tell. Now, the big thing I have been seeing everywhere, though, is when the offline mode does come into the Crew 2, what are some things the game actually needs for it to really be sustainable, and most likely some things that have to be changed a bit for it to truly work. The first thing I do want to talk about, guys, now this is not going to be in the menu anymore, but that is going to be the motor pass that was on the bottom right of the screen. Now, the reason why I did want to bring this up is going to come down to one simple reason. When the game does go offline mode, would you guys like to see every single motor pass that was in the game, at least, before, probably the last 4 or 5 plus years when they were coming out every 3 or so months? Would you guys like to see every single motor pass in the Crew 2, and you can actually buy them, play through them again, even if you did it before, just to give everybody something to like level through? Maybe they can add money to them and stuff like that. Who knows? I feel like that would be pretty dope. Now, I do understand that's probably going to take a ton of work to add that, but I was thinking about it though, like the game is offline mode. We're not going to have PvP and stuff like that anymore. That is obviously going to shut down. I would almost guess that maybe the community races as well on top of it are going to be gone. So why not add something like that into there, and on top of it, maybe have a bunch of daily challenges and weekly challenges that rotate to where you can constantly make money, get, icon followers and stuff like that. I feel like that would be a pretty dope feature if they added it. Again, though, I do feel like in some ways it's probably going to take a ton of work to add that into it. But then again, though, if this game was going to be fully offline, then they could basically add everything into it over the next few years, launch the entire offline update, and then boom, that is it. I would say something like that would actually work, and like seeing a bunch of daily challenges on here, making extra money and icon followers and stuff like that, or adding some random vanity items into there would be a pretty dope thing to go after. The other thing I would really like to see is probably going to come down to a few of the updates. So heading into this, guys, that is going to be, for example, these stories, which I actually hit the wrong thing. Let me go to Motorflix here and go this way. So I actually would really like to see some of these stories be like accessible again, to where you can actually reset them. Now, I do know you got the car, but why not be able to reset every single story in the game that you did before, and then maybe be able to make, let's say, maybe like 150,000, 200 grand from them. Like legit, guys, not even kidding, if they added that, I would go through every single story again without a doubt in my mind, man. Like, these were so dang fun to do. I would love to go through each step again, finding the locations, and that way, instead of getting that car that you actually have, kind of like a prestige mode almost, like you would actually max it out, and then once you get that vehicle, you can then go back in and then you'll get something around 200 or 250 grand from it. I feel like everybody would be like, bro, let's do that right now. And funny thing is, I did actually want something like this back in the day when the actual story update did end up releasing. And this will also go for something like the Season 9 Episode 1 American Legends update, to where basically every single story is going to be resettable and you can redo them, but this time you're actually going to get money for doing them. I think a lot of players would honestly really like that. On top of that, guys, I do feel like most of the other updates in the game, though, like the Mad ones and all the city updates, the Blizzard, the Into the Storm, Dominion, and basically so on, I feel like all of these are still going to be in there. The biggest thing is going to be these stories, though, because you did finish them back in Season 5, or Season 9 for that matter, but now you can't do them anymore because they are done. I feel like a lot of players would love to be able to keep playing through them and actually get money from doing them when the game does go into an offline mode. When it does come to the other updates, I would say most of them are probably going to be safe. I mean, they can't really delete something like the contractor updates because a lot of those things don't require people. They're basically sitting there. You drive around, you can activate them, make money and stuff like that. So I would say a majority of the updates are going to be safe, but at least make it so you can redo the story updates and get money from those when the game is in full offline mode. Now, the next thing I did actually want to talk about in this video is probably not going to be all that shocking, but then again, I have been seeing questions about this everywhere. That is going to be the summits, guys, when the entire game does go offline. What are they actually going to do with the summits? Now, I have to admit something. They should definitely not get rid of these. I don't know if they were thinking about doing it, but one solution I actually have that they could do with it is leave all the actual summits on rotation like they currently are doing at the moment, but instead of having them based on the PvP players and all that, like everyone getting a score going against each other, and then that's going to be like the pot for like the average platinum score or whatever, why don't they have the platinum score set to like a certain amount or something to where you have to get this amount, then you'll get the vehicle. Maybe they can have it like not a crazy high amount to where players are like, bro, this is almost going to be impossible unless you're a pro or something. But maybe they can actually have the entire platinum score a tad higher. That way people can still jump in, do the summits, have a sense of a bit of a challenge there, doing their best in these and actually trying to improve a bit. Maybe they can have all the rewards and stuff tied to the summits like this one here, to where you get parts, you also get followers, you can get money and stuff from them. Like, the game is still going to be incredibly rewarding. It is just not going to be an online focused thing like it currently is. I think that could work. I mean, let me know in the comments below, guys, how would you also do the summits if it wasn't going to be based on all the players doing it? I do feel like the best way is have all the same events in there, have like the skills, like the slaloms, the low altitudes and stuff like that. Keep all of them in there, but on top of it, have a main score for platinum that you basically have to get to, and then you're also going to get the main rewards from the actual summit. I feel like something like that would end up working. Now, they might have to tweak a few things. We all do know the summits are based on going against each other, so then they're probably going to have to restructure like some of the scoring on it. But I do feel like, though, keeping the actual items in there, like let's say the gold, silver, bronze, and platinum items, keeping those in every single summit, keeping it on a big like rotational type of basis, but everybody can still jump in weekly, do the summits, have a great time in them. We all do know, once again, this is going to be years down the road, so I do feel like it might actually end up working if they did end up doing it this way. Now then again, if we're actually talking about 3 or 4 years down the road, then you can probably also argue that most players are probably going to have everything from the summits, so maybe people are like, nah bro, we don't need to do them, we don't need these cars anymore, just completely get rid of them. Unless they have all the summits on a rotational basis that have like part sets in them, then that might actually work if they did something like that. But again, guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. How do you guys actually think something like that would end up working when this game finally goes into its full offline mode? But besides all of that, though, the one thing I would say players are probably going to be talking about is going to be the community game modes around the entire map. Are these going to stay into the game? We all do know players can make them. So I'm probably going to guess and say that maybe they're most likely not going to stay in the game. I mean, if players can't actually submit them because the game is offline, then that's probably not going to actually work. Now, even with all of that being said, though, we all do know the PvP is going to be completely gone on top of something like the community events, which I would say, once again, does make sense. I mean, the game isn't online anymore, so it probably won't work. But as I did mention earlier, though, having like all the stories actually being resettable to where you can keep doing them, on top of that, maybe adding in all of the old motor passes into the game, which I would probably guess is going to be a really big far-fetched thing, but who knows? Maybe that's going to be possible. I would almost guarantee everybody would love to see all of those return, because I do think players would probably go in and activate them again, or at least buy the old motor passes, play through them. It will give them something to do. And then the final thing is going to be a summit restructure to where you can do them even when the entire multiplayer like online part of the game is going to be completely gone. But even with all of that being said, the biggest takeaway is the fact that we can actually keep playing the Crew 2 when the game is finally over. We all do know, guys, after what happened with the Crew 1 and the entire thing with that, there is no way they can definitely do it again. Do let me know what you guys think about all of these ideas in the comments below. Would you also like to see a lot of these things return into the game when it goes offline mode? What is going to be the timeline when you think it will end up happening? And what is the biggest thing you actually want to keep in the game when it does go offline mode? This can be the stories, even if the motor passes come back, or something like an entire summit restructure, which I do feel like having everything on like a rotational type of basis with the game being offline would be pretty dang dope. But again, guys, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below.